6:30.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Sandy Hill.
And I'm Charlie Rose. President Reagan has had his say, but what are you thinking? What does the American public have to say about the administration's just disclosed contact with Iran? In this half hour, we'll sample the opinions of some folks who make their livings listening to you.
One of the other opinions that we're going to be sampling this morning is that of Senator Joseph Biden, who will give us the Democratic viewpoint of what the president had to say last evening. Also, we're going to take a look at a unique program of teaching sex education, a very unusual program because it deals with the entire self of those youngsters who participate, and participating too, Julie Nixon Eisenhower on her mother, Pat Nixon.
All of that when we continue, but first we have the news, and for that, here is Douglas Edwards. Doug?
Charlie, President Reagan says he wanted to set the record straight. Mr. Reagan went on television last night to defend his contacts with Iran and to insist U.S. weapons were not used as hostage bargaining chips. Terrence Smith has more.
The president confirmed that for 18 months his administration has had secret contacts with Iran that included arms shipments. But he denied that ransom had been paid or terrorists dealt with.
The United States has not made concessions to those who hold our people captive in Lebanon, and we will not. The United States has not swapped boatloads of plane loads of American weapons for the return of American hostages, and we will not.
Mr. Reagan said his goals were to renew a relationship with strategically important Iran, hasten an end to the Iran-Iraq war, eliminate state-sponsored terrorism, and bring home the hostages. He contended that some progress had already been made.
Since U.S. government contact began with Iran, there's been no evidence of Iranian government complicity in acts of terrorism against the United States.
The president argued that critics who contend that his actions will only encourage more hostage-taking and terrorism are mistaken.
Those who think that we have gone soft on terrorism should take up the question with Colonel Gaddafi.
But one Democratic leader who had been briefed twice by the White House before the speech remained unconvinced after it was over.
What we're seeing here is the administration trying to assuage the concerns that have arisen, trying to put the best face on a major foreign policy blunder.
The explanations in the president's speech don't change the bottom line. The United States has shipped arms to Iran, and a lot of friends at home and abroad are going to question whether that's a good policy. Terrence Smith, CBS News, the White House.
Just hours after President Reagan's speech, Iranian President Ali Khamenei said relations with the U.S. would not improve until the United States ends what he calls its spirit of aggression. But today, former National Security Advisor Robert McFarlane told us that wasn't necessarily a bad sign. He told CBS News correspondent Bill Plant that recent rhetoric from Iran has been softer than that in the past.
I think that if you look, Bill, at what has been coming officially from the government of Iran 2 days ago in New York, saying specifically that they believed a political dialogue could make progress, and specifically denying any kind of negotiation of arms for hostages, that this is fundamentally a different kind of rhetoric that you're hearing than we have heard for the last 7 years, and it is very promising.
McFarlane said such complex negotiations take time to bear fruit. In other news, a Baltimore couple is under arrest today for kidnapping a newborn baby. FBI agents think a baby boy found in Maryland yesterday is Philip Worthington. They're only waiting for verification of little footprints to make sure. But Philip's parents can't wait to take him home. They're already sure he's their baby, who was taken from his mother's arms last week from a hospital near Philadelphia. Now, if you buy generic prescription drugs instead of their brand name versions because you think they're cheaper, well, think again. A new study says that generic drugs are sometimes more expensive, and while pharmacies often pay less for them, they do not always pass on the savings to consumers. Researchers say the best advice for consumers: shop around. Today, the Deep South is in a deep freeze. It's in the grip of a cold wave that moved down from the Great Plains. And as Bruce Hall reports, it's forced some Southerners to trade bikinis for snow boots.
In the southeast, there has been a startling change in the weather, from a record heat wave earlier in the week to a record cold spell. The thermometer has plunged more than 60 degrees in some areas of the south, a region that seldom has freezing temperatures in November.
It's cold out here today? Yes, it's very cold out here today.
Agencies that assist the homeless and the poor were caught unprepared. Shelters were not ready.
We open our winter shelter normally December 1st, and here it is, what, 2.5 weeks early.
Emergency rations of food had to be found quickly, along with winter clothes and heavy coats.
What we're seeing, I think, is a real surge of people coming in to get our help.
Outside events were curtailed. In Louisville, racing was canceled at Churchill Downs for the first time in 16 years. The frozen track made it dangerous for horses and riders, but not for all racing fans.
I've never heard of this before.
Forecasters say normal conditions should return by the weekend. Temperatures soaring to the 60s and higher. Bruce Hall, CBS News, Atlanta.
Sandy, you're in a position to point the finger of blame for all this.
And you're in a position to know it firsthand since you were in Cincinnati yesterday, and it was so cold there. Warmed up a little in the Midwest now, but the temperatures still look cold. It's the wind that's making the difference, eh?
The wind really dying down, but you know things have gotten way out of hand. 23 degrees is a warming trend.
Wrong.
You call Rapid City today, they'll probably say it's getting hot, be about 30 degrees.
Wow.
But that is the
Give me
case
Southern
across,
California.
Right, take California.